All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er update video as we update you on all the happenings in Ninerland on this 15th of May, 2025. But first, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And they do run out. So get there early, get some brisket chili. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Tell them the Krug sent you. We're also brought to you by Sharp Corners, Sports Cards, and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California. Right there along the Monterey Peninsula. Call my friend Anthony Catania. He's the owner. He's at 831-521-5264. Big Niner Giant Warrior fan and a big fan of the Krug Show. All right, let's update everything that's going on in Ninerland. And, you know, it's interesting. There's a bunch of notes surrounding the 49ers, despite the fact that we're in the midst of the offseason, and you would think there's nothing really to talk about, but there's really actually quite a bit. Yesterday, the Niners signed their number one pick, Mykel Williams. He gets a 4-year deal for $24.9 million. $14.7 million is his signing bonus. So Mykel Williams is a very rich man today, and he looked good in the minicamp. So we'll see what he looks like this summer in training camp and, of course, his rookie year. But if first indications are a good sign, he looked good in the first preseason or the first OTA session, the rookie minicamp, which was held in Santa Clara last Friday and Saturday. One interesting note today, DJ Humphries, the veteran offensive tackle who was thought to be the Niners' swing tackle, who's going to back up both Colton McKivitz and Trent Williams. Well, the veteran offensive tackle agreed to sign with the Niners last week, but according to Matt Mayoko, he actually never agreed to the terms and has yet to sign the contract. And who knows if it's going to get signed. The Niners, since signing DJ Humphries, or since agreeing with DJ Humphries, even though they didn't, obviously DJ's now backing out, signed, Dillard and Petit Frere, a couple other Andre Dillard and Nicholas Petit Frere, a couple other, street free agent offensive tackles. And maybe Humphries is like, hey, I don't want to compete with those guys. I thought I was going to be handed the third tackle spot. And now there's these other guys that could actually beat me out. I mean, I may go to training camp and lose out in a battle to Andre Dillard. Heck no, I'm not signing up for that. So who knows? DJ Humphries may not sign. He may not sign after all, but as of the moment, he's not signed and is still very much a free agent. Now, the schedule came out yesterday, and we'll talk a little bit more about it in a second, but the Niners preseason schedule is also out. Week 1, they'll take on the Denver Broncos at Levi Stadium. It's somewhere between August 7th and 10th. The actual date of these preseason games is yet to be finalized. Week 2 in the preseason, we'll see the Niners in Vegas taking on the Raiders, the upstart Raiders with Pete Carroll coaching there. That game will be held between August 14th and the 18th. And then week 3, Niners take on the Chargers, and Jim Harbaugh comes back to Levi's. That game will be somewhere between the 21st and the 24th of August. Now, Niners and Broncos will hold joint practices prior to their preseason game. Since that game's at Levi's, I would imagine those practices will be here in Northern California at the Niners practice facility, but there have been no official words yet on that. But expect Broncos 49ers joint practices to be here in Northern California and not elsewhere. Just reviewing the 49ers schedule, which came out yesterday. You know, it's interesting. The Niners went 6-11 last year, but man, it's pretty clear that the NFL schedule makers believe very, very highly in John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers' ability to bounce back and be a good team, because the Niners are expected, or the league's expecting the Niners to bounce back. They put them in 5 primetime games. So if they really thought the 49ers were going to be a bad team that was going to keep circling the drain, they wouldn't put them on prime time 5 times, you would think. They were in prime time 6 times a year ago, and then they win 6 games. So I think if the thinking was the 49ers were bottoming out and they were going to be worse than last year, they probably wouldn't get 5 primetime games, but they did. So it's an indication that the league definitely believes in them. It's interesting. They do play 5 primetime games. The 5 primetime games are week 5, Thursday night in LA against the Rams. Week 7, Niners host the Falcons on Sunday Night Football. Week 12, Niners host Carolina on Monday Night Football. Week 15, the Niners will be in Indianapolis for a Monday Night Football tilt. And then the very next week, they'll host the Bears on Sunday Night Football at Levi's. So those are the 5 primetime games for the 49ers. Niners open with a schedule. They open their schedule with a week 1 division game against Seattle. That's the first time I can remember in a long time the Niners opened with a divisional game. 3 of the Niners' first 5 games are against the NFC West. And I think that's as it should be. Why? Because in 22 and 23, the Niners laid waste to this division. They went 11-1 against the NFC West. Last year, the division crushed them. And the 49ers went 1-5 in the division. And let's be completely honest about this. The Niners are probably not going anywhere if they don't do something against their division this year. You got to do something against your division. So, we'll see. We'll see what they're able to do against the division. A couple other schedule notes. The 49ers have the easiest strength of schedule for any team since 2015 when the Falcons played an easier schedule. Niner opponents last year, had a win percentage of .415. So on paper, it's an easier schedule. Now, the Niners play 0 teams off a bye. Last year, they played 4 teams coming off a bye. So that makes it easier right there. But let's go back to that easiest strength of schedule stat. Because to me, this is, really interesting. I mean, the 49ers only play 2 playoff teams from last year outside the division. So they only play Houston and Tampa. The only 2 teams that made the playoffs last year on the Niners schedule this year that aren't in their division are Houston and Tampa. As I said, Niners went 1-5 against the NFC West last year. But back to the easiest schedule. The Niners have the easiest schedule in the NFL in 2025. But, and it's a big but here, the past 3 teams that entered the season with the designation of you're playing the statistically easiest schedule in the league all finished with losing records. So it's nice that they're playing an easy schedule, but it's not the end-all be-all because the last 3 teams to do it didn't even reach 500. So we'll see what kind of year it is for the 49ers. I would say the toughest stretch is a 5-city and 5-week run with 4 road games in 5 weeks. It's week 5 to week 9. They go week 5 at Rams, week 6 at Tampa in the humidity in early October there in Florida. Week 7, Sunday Night Football against the upstart Falcons with Michael Penix. Week 8, they're in Houston against C.J. Stroud, probably the toughest game of the 5-game stretch. And then week 9, they got to go, are they going to stay back east? They might. I mean, they're going to go from Houston, fly back to San Francisco, and then turn right around and fly cross country for a 10 a.m. week 9 tilt against the New York Giants. So, that's probably the toughest stretch of their season, week 5 through week 9. The Niners do play 6 of their first 9 games on the road. So what does that mean? That means the back half of the schedule is going to be real favorable. After week 9, the Niners will be home for 5 of their final 8 games. Niners are home for 4 of 6 to end the season. So 49ers have a week 14 bye. It's the latest possible bye, which does add a little stress to their season for sure. But man, you look at that final stretch of the season, it looks very favorable. I mean, after Niners Cardinals in week 11, the Niners' last 6 opponents are teams that went a combined 34-68 in 2024. So, and 8 of the Niners' final 10 opponents are coming off a road game the week prior. As far as bad weather, they really don't get bad weather. They have a week 13 game in Cleveland. That's late November. I don't think it should be too bad. As I said, they play a humidity game in Tampa in week 6. Other than those 2 games, it should be a very, very favorable weather schedule. In fact, I will say this about the Niners schedule. If the Niners get off to a hot start, they could have a huge, huge year because it's very favorable on the back end. They get off to a hot start, and they're going to have a big year. When I say big year, I'm saying 10, 11, 12, 13 type wins. That kind of a season if they get off to a hot start. A couple other notes. Tim Kawakami reported today that the 49ers could be involved in an NFC West in-season HBO Hard Knocks. Nobody wants that. The AFC Central was the 2024 subject of the in-season Hard Knocks. This year, they're saying it may be the NFC West. Now, Shanahan and Lynch are both on record for years saying that they are against participating in this HBO series, but the league's probably going to force them into it. I can see it happening. A couple other notes today. The York family has agreed to sell off about 6% of the franchise to a trio of Bay Area families for 6% of $8.5 billion, or if you want to do the math, $510 million. So they're adding $510 million of cash infusion, and for that they sold off 6% of the franchise. To the families are the Kosha family, the Griffith family, and the Dieter family. Supposedly the Kosha family bought the biggest stake in the Niners. A lot of rumblings that the Niners may wind up using some form of a new uniform in a game or two this year in 2025. They've been kind of teasing us with different looks. One of the looks they put out there was a white helmet with a red and black stripe down the middle. Still has the SF logo on the side, so it's not a total bastardization of their helmet, but it's a white helmet. I wouldn't mind I'm not military police when it comes to, or uniform police when it comes to uniforms. Personally, I like the 94 throwbacks. I like the all whites. I think they look really clean. I like the red tops and the white pants. I think that's the Niners' best uniform, to be completely honest. But I got no problem. If they want to go to a gold metallic helmet, I'd be fine with that for a game. If they want to go to a white helmet, I could go for that for a game. If they want to go to black jerseys and black pants, I could go with that. I'm pretty flexible, but yeah, we may see a white helmet Niner clad team in one game this year. Couple of uniform numbers for those of you who buy jerseys. Alfred Collins is not going to wear 99. He's now going to switch from 99 to number 95. So Alfred Collins will wear 95. CJ West, who was going to wear 50, is going to wear 99. And I think that looks good. I'd rather have CJ West wearing 99 than 50. 99 is a defensive tackle number, I think, or defensive end. 99, 95, that's good. I like that. My good friend Raj Melwani from RSF 49ers, Raj and I did a YouTube live stream on Tuesday where we ranked which new 49er players or coaches will create the biggest impact for the year. And our top 5 were Robert Saleh, Brant Boyer, Mykel Williams, CJ West, and Nick Martin. So who makes the biggest impact of all the new 49ers? That should be interesting. And rest differential, I think, is a big topic as well. Over the last 2 seasons, the Niners have had the NFL's third worst rest differential. And in addition, they also traveled the most miles of any NFL team. Just to put this in perspective, the 2024 49ers were minus 22 rest days on the rest of the league. And if you compared them to the Ravens, they were like minus 37 rest days, which is completely and utterly ridiculous and unfair. How can you have a 4-month regular season and have one team have almost over a month of additional rest over a 4-month season? That is just so bad. That is so unfair in a sport like football where rest is absolutely crucial. The fact that they ever do that is it's a blight. It's an absolute black mark on the league. Figure it out. I mean, you got to have teams in a general even playing field. Otherwise, it becomes manipulated. And last year, the Niners were minus 22 in rest days. This year, the Niners are plus 9 in rest days. Last year, they faced 4 teams coming off a bye. This year, they face 0 teams coming off the bye. So as far as rest goes, the Niners, where will they be least rested? This is one of those things as well. You got to keep track anytime you're wagering on an NFL game, you got to understand the rest disparity between the two teams before you make the wager. If you make the wager without knowing the rest disparity, you're really just rolling the dice. So where's the rest disadvantages this year where it could come back to haunt the Niners? Chicago and Tennessee. The Niners play the Bears, and when they do, the Bears are going to have a 2-day rest advantage. Okay, so they'll have a 2-day rest advantage on the Niners. That's not huge. They'll have a 2-day rest advantage when the Niners and Bears play. Tennessee is the Niners' largest rest disadvantage game. Tennessee will be coming off their bye week. So Tennessee theoretically will have 7 days of additional rest. And they'll have 7 extra rest days in the 49ers. So if you're looking for a game that might be maybe a little bit closer than it looks like on paper, if you're looking at a game that might be a game you may want to lay off because you know what? We don't know. Tennessee's a lot more rested. It's that Niner-Tennessee game. The Niners will have 1 week of less rest in that game. And then the Titans will have. Now, are the Niners better? Yeah, they're better. But they're going to have a week less rest. And who knows? Who knows how that could impact things? It could impact things very significantly. So there you go. There is the full breakdown of all the Niner news here on the 15th of May. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of The Krug Show. Thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles for sponsoring this video. Hit like and subscribe on your way out. And thanks to all you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.